we have a lot of treatment plants in Delhi, but are they really capable to handle the ammonia of 5 ppm? So do we have that kind of treatment plants in our country or in Delhi?
See, most of the treatment plants that we have with the Delhi Jal Board is a chlorination plant. The capacity of most of these chlorination plants is up to about 1 ppm they can treat if ammonia is up to that level. If ammonia is more than that, it becomes extremely difficult for these treatment technologies to treat ammonia, high content of ammonia from water. And that is why it is a challenge if you have plant of this technology. I think the Delhi Jal Board is trying to shift to a plant of ozonization, or where you put ozone and treat water. But at the moment, they're doing chlorination, and chlorination has its own limitations. And ammonia is largely being released by different kinds of industries and different kinds of usage. Ammonia is also generated through municipal wastewater. It is also through sewage, septic, uh, industrial point sources, landfill leachate. There can be multiple sources of ammonia which can come into surface water, groundwater, come into rivers. Then also, ammonia is also being released by different kinds of industries which are using different chemicals into it, and the resultant, some of the resultant effluents which are there, which also contain ammonia. Some of the primary industries that I can think of is about textile is one major industry which can be source of ammonia. The second is about chemicals and fertilizers that can be source of ammonia industry. The third can be oil refinery. Refineries also release ammonia. And lastly, I would say that food and beverages industry. Also, agriculture can be a source of ammonia. So these are all places from where ammonia can be released into surface water and into uh, rivers and lakes and other kinds of bodies that you can see. These are sources of ammonia.
As far as the water treatment plant is concerned, we are a world fifth largest economy, and we have technological edge. Why are we lacking behind that we don't have that kind of water treatment plants in our country?
It's not a question of why we don't have it. I think there must have been some decision-making process why they went for chlorinization, and many old-time systems depended on chlorine and how to clean up the water and make it potable by using chlorination. Now, these are all new technologies. You've got RO, you've got membrane, you've got ozonization, you've got multiple technologies to treat water now. So it is time for technology upgradation movement in that direction. So I think some decision will have to be taken, and perhaps they are already being taken. I won't know much about what is the Delhi government thinking or the Delhi Jal Board thinking, but there are technologies to deal with this kind of a situation, and it will be best that they look at all possibilities to deal with it.
How is ammonia harmful to our body?
Ammonia is something which has a different kind of impacts on human health and environment both. For environment, it can lead to high levels of ammonia, can lead to acidification, eutrophication. These are normal, uh, uh, you know, kinds of environmental damages that it causes, and it becomes difficult for ecology to sustain this kind of eutrophication process or acidification process. As regards to human health, it can cause you, it impacts your lungs. It also impacts your eyes, irritation in the eyes. It also smells. So these are all kinds of impacts that it has on human health. There could be larger human health impacts also because of ammonia. Uh, I am not, maybe children are more prone to ammonia exposure. They can be more vulnerable than adults. And airways are one of the primary places which gets affected by ammonia. Other kinds of this thing is also, yeah, there can be other kinds of impacts that I have generally found out. It can be, cause pain, inflammation, blisters. These are all kinds of health impacts that human beings can have. So even animals, other kinds of species, and environment, they all get impacted by higher levels of ammonia. But just to let you know that the drinking water standards for ammonia is zero point 0.5 ppm or zero point 0.5 mg per liter, which is acceptable ammonia levels for drinking water. And I think we are following those standards as far as drinking water concerned. As far as release to environment is concerned, effluent and other things, inland water and to surface water is about 50 ppm or 50 mg per liter. So if you are within those limits, it's fine. But if it goes far beyond those limits, then it becomes a difficult situation.
What are the the policies of the government uh, regarding this issue where the government is lagging behind?
This issue about river water quality across the country is a problem. It's not only Yamuna. Most rivers in the country, if you look at the river quality in most rivers, you'll find a degradation in that. The quality of river water has certainly been going down. It also tells us the story about the kind of activities or human activities that are happening around the cities and towns where from these rivers are flowing. A lot of effluents and waste are being dumped into these rivers, and they are either not treated fully, or they are partially treated, or they are untreated. There could be multiple reasons for it. And that is why you find that many of our rivers today are contaminated. There could be different levels of contamination, and there could be, different reasons for contamination. Yamuna is one of them. Yamuna, if you look at Yamuna River, if you go upstream, you'll find the river to be becoming cleaner at some place, and some places where there is too many industries around the banks of the river, you find that the river water gets compromised. And Delhi, about 18 or 19 kilometers, when it passes through the city of Delhi, it gets further deteriorated. The reasons are obvious that we are dumping waste into this river, and that is why the river is getting compromised. There will be fights, there will be political contradictions between who is in power and who is outside power. Those are different situations. I can only talk about environment. And I think there is every reason, and there are many examples from across the world that the most dirtiest of the rivers have been cleaned up across the world. It's not new, and rivers were dirty across the world. If talk about in Germany, Rhine is there. In London, the Thames is there. They were all pretty. They've gone through similar kind of situation, but the citizens, the state, the other kinds of machinery worked on it, and they were able to clean it up. I think we as a nation also need to start looking at many of our rivers and start to clean it up. And it requires effort at multiple points, with multiple degree of interventions, with many different kinds of thought processes. So it is a thing which can be done. It's not something that can't be done. It's about how do you do it. If I talk about the laws or regulations and the standards, they're all there. I don't think you can make it any more strict. If you make it any more strict, nothing is going to work actually. There may be some additional requirements to be added to the standards because some parameters are not there. Otherwise, the laws are there. The question is about how do you implement it? How do you enforce it? How do you monitor it? And if somebody is violating it, how do you bring that uh, entity or agency to book? So it is about all about implementation, and it's about implementation, monitoring, controlling, and about regulating it properly. It's not about getting more standards. I think that's not the issue. Most of the standards are there. Some, maybe one or two standards are missing. You can always add on to those standards. But it's a challenge about the kind of agencies that we have, the kind of regulatory framework that we have, the kind of oversight institutions that we have, whom we have entrusted this responsibility. So who does what is the accountability, and who holds them accountable? Those are questions which are important.
The level of ammonia in the drinking water is increasing day by day, and that will be a very threatening call to all of us. What your perspective on that?
I can only say one thing, that river by itself does not produce ammonia.
Yeah.
It's not possible. So it is somebody is putting certain kinds of effluents, which is causing this high ammonia into surface water in a river. And you have to identify the sources which are upstream. You have to strengthen the implementation mechanism there. And you have to ensure that people who are doing it are brought to book. And that is how you can do it. So the answer is pretty simple. What are the possible sources of ammonia? We know what are the possible sources of ammonia. You have to check some of them. You have to start implementing the laws or your standards and start penalizing people. That is the only way out. Otherwise, where is it coming from? We all have to find it out. And there are institutions who have been assigned this kind of responsibility. So it's about holding them accountable for it. And that's why it can be done. So it's nothing that, a river by itself does not generate any ammonia. It's about the kind of sewage system that you have, the kind of agriculture runoff that you have, the kind of treatment plants that you have along the sea in the cities. I think they all become very, very critical in trying to analyze this and trying to reform some of these things that we are finding today. Ammonia is just about one. We have done multiple kinds of testing in the river. We found other kinds of contaminants. So from time to time, from season to season, from weather to weather, you find different kind of chemicals which you will find in the river. We have to look at keeping our pristine sources of water. They are coming from Himalayas. These are rivers which originate in Himalayas, go through an Yamunotri, if you're talking about it. And they are pure, from the glaciers. So this water coming through various tributaries, they meet up and come to your cities. You need to see that the journey of the river is clean and you don't have so much of contaminants going into the river. The moment you maintain the integrity of the river, you will have much cleaner drinking water. You require a very simple technology to deal with it. There are many countries where people drink water from the river, and there's no problem because the raw source of water is absolutely clean and clear. And that is what we should be looking at. Why do we want to dirty and then clean up?